Welcome to Local is Lekker, where we look for lekker stories from local businesses. In the last couple of weeks, I've come across the word HeartEco a number of times. My brother built a beautiful monkey bar out of some really awesome looking timber. And when I was at the opening of Stump Nose Brewery in Kloof, Andy was showing me the timber that he used to do the shop fitting in the tap room. And all of this timber comes from Europe, but it's repurposed timber that has served its time traveling from Europe to Africa, protecting engine parts of big truck manufacturers. HeartEco then repurposes this timber and makes it available through their retail outlets here in the Shongweni Valley and at their retail outlet in Westmead. So today I'm very excited to go and meet Stewart, who's been recycling, repurposing and trying to fix the world for the last 45 or 50 years. His dream is a world without waste. So I think every time we see the letters www in front of our website, we should think of Stewart and a world without waste. So let's drive down into the valley and see what Stewart is all about.
How's it in Kusini? How are we going? 4 loads a day, or are we staying there? 4 every day. Nice one. So yeah, we have Nkwasini here, who just trips back and forward from Westmead to Shongweni, bringing the material in, and we'll take it to the yard where he'll offload it. My name's Stewart Oliver, and I'm heading up this operation which we've called HeartEco, and basically it's all about reclaiming timber and timber that's come from overseas in crates, in the form of crates and pallets and boxes, and we receive it from the supplier down in Pinetown, Westmead, and we bring it here, and this is where the process begins. So one of the smaller boxes that we get various sizes, 1.5 meter, 2 meters and 2.5 meters, and there's all sorts of strange pallets which are, when they come from overseas, they're holding gearboxes and cabs and sort of chassis and all the rest of the parts that go to make up a truck, axles and what have you. So we get all sorts of weird and wonderful constructs in that, which then now our purpose is in reclaiming timber would be to dismantle that in the best possible way, saving as much as we can, take all the nails out and then market that product, which is reclaimed timber. One of the problems that we have is that the Germans, and this is where the wood comes from the Baltic region in Germany, is that they always overkill with their construction, so they over-engineer. So instead of needing to take out 10 nails, we end up taking out 20 or 30 or 40 because they've really done a good job. And the nails are not just nails, they've got these twirly whirlies and spikes on the end to make it difficult for the nail to come out. Okay, so they obviously got rapid fire machine guns. When they're putting these boxes together, they go, and of course we have to deal with that. What happens with this box and the way that we dismantle it is that the forklift would put it down in front of the team here, and they would cut around the edges, the fringes, the side of the box, and then it would then become a flat pack, and then they would proceed to use crowbars and whatever to strip the rest of it into the planks, and then on the table over there are the guys that are actually straightening the nails and then kicking them out with either a nail gun or a nail puller, depending on which way the nail is situated. And so we dismantle the crate in this section over here, all the odd sizes, all the odd and funny shapes. So if you come in, I'll show you that. happening over here is the nails with heads that are facing up. Instead of kicking the nail out, they would need to lift it up. And that's what this machine is doing here. Pulling out the nail. This particular machine here was designed by my son Stephen. Okay, the nail pullers were designed by my son Stephen. He did a lot of research about taking nails out of wood, and he came up with this prototype, which is actually quite unique. It's not totally unique, but the actual construction and the application is very unique for us. So we're very, very proud of Stephen who have come up with that idea. From this point onward, they could then be in a position where they can actually stack the timber. Obviously you can't stack timber with nails in it. Most of the time the timber is very straight, which is great because it's much easier to work with a straight piece of timber when you're wanting to cut something or make a table or do something, a bench or a chair. Obviously when you have a big box or a big pallet or something else and you take it all apart, you end up with some pretty short pieces of timber. So our customers have been very ingenious as to come up with products where we've even been able to, where they've been able to use even pieces of timber like this, short pieces of timber. Cut in half, that would be for a pallet. It would be the corners of a pallet. What's really great about German products is that the sizes are very true. In other words, what we were getting 15 years ago, 450 by 75 by 75, we're still getting exactly that size 15 years later. And just stick with it. So the specifications are really good. And because it's been heat treated, the sizes don't vary very much. And all the moisture's been whacked out of it, and all the insects as well, and all the infestation in Germany before it gets to leave there to come over to South Africa. Out of all the material that comes through, we would separate it into A grade and into B grade. And our B grade material, most of it ends up coming into the machine shop where we would take a piece of timber with a flaw in it, and then we would cut it up into either a narrow, longer piece or two short pieces. So this whole process here is minimizing our waste and maximizing our useful material. A lot of the boxes come with lids that sit on top, and of course they're not always perfect, so we take the larger pieces that are damaged and we cut them up into smaller sections. These are floor tiles where they're put together to cover a floor or even cladding on a wall. The other thing that happens here is we do machining for customers. So in other words, guys who don't have the equipment at home and they want the machine planed or sanded or cut to size to the specifications that they need in order just to assemble stuff, then the guys here process that. So they would say that that's about 50% of what they do is working for customers, following specifications, and the other half is just upgrading, upcycling if you like, or turning what we call B grade into A grade. A lot of the things that we've made for our own use, customers have seen it and they've said, well, I'd like something like that. So what we've done and what we do often is to provide people with kits in order for them to make up a trestle table or make up a bench or make up a cupboard, and we would cut the pieces of wood to size. So just about anybody can get involved in working with the timber because we have the big lengths, the long lengths and the short lengths for people who know what they're doing and they've got the machines at home in order to start from raw to end. But we also have the ability to give customers something that is ready for them maybe just to screw together, put a paint on, and finish it off and have the pleasure of coming up with something that's beautiful and in their home. Yeah, there's a trestle table fully with the top one that's been screwed on, but of course that could be loose and separate. That's just basically very functional. It's not really a dining room piece. But anyway, we make up a lot of panels, panels for people. Like this is like a wall panel. Here we've incorporated the bamboo reeds from the river with our offcuts from the machine shop, and we built up a paneling section. Here is a component for a hut, a prefabricated hut, where we've taken small pieces of plywood and turned it into a lightweight wall where 8 or 10 or 12 or 16 of these would end up being the walls of a garden hut or something like that. We get a lot of small pieces of plywood, and we basically have built a table out of them, and they very simply, by laminating 3 together like that and like that and continuing as any more. There, 1, 2 and 3, and in another row 1, 2 and 3, and then we cut out these shapes here. We cut that shape out of that, and then the other one slips in, and then the tabletop goes on top, and then there's just a color variation. And a style variation over there. So those pieces of, those square pieces of board that were cut in the machine shop, this is an example how they end up. We've even got to a point where we're using pieces that are 100 by 100. If anybody wants to know something about how to do a floor like this where you don't have to glue anything down, you just glue a frame. And if you can see the frame here, glue that down, and then you drop the tiles in, and they don't come up, but they loose. So it's a really easy way to make a floor out of off-cut material. Hi, how are you doing? Oh, great. So this is our reclaimed timber shop, and basically a person is able to come in here and walk up and down the aisles and see the type of timber or the size of the timber that they need for their project. We've got all our boards spread out, boards that we receive like that, and smaller boards for smaller applications that we've cut to size, and all the timber is displayed on racks, either standing up or lying down, and our customers would basically mostly help themselves. We also have all the nuts and bolts and screws that we've reclaimed from taking the crates and boxes apart, and our customers use that for whatever application suits the purpose. Getting to what we fundamentally believe in, and that's a world without waste, we found that just about everything that we receive, that we found a market for. These just amazing straps, very useful thing to have in your collection, in your toolbox, in your garage. Beautiful buckle, and basically this in the industry is seen as waste, and we receive that. It's all kinds of bolts, brackets, different brackets for support, 90 degrees, washers, and hundreds of different items which come from us dismantling the crate or the box or the pallet. So if you come over here and get a closer look at the racks, as I said before, there's a lot of consistency in the sizes. The sizes that we get are consistent, and this is quite unique because reclaimed timber or old timber generally is kind of a whole higgledy-piggledy amount of sizes, but in our game we've got very consistent sizes, which is really helpful to somebody who's wanting to make something, a table, chair, or a bench, or working, fixing a roof, or building a Wendy house, and so on. Well, we encourage people to come and just enjoy moving around and looking at what we've got, and people end up staying a lot longer than they anticipated, because there's a lot of interesting, just not only the timber, but also where we are and the place that we've set up in. It's a beautiful part of the world, Shongweni. But just wandering around the wood shop has kept many a person busy for for long periods of time. From a personal perspective, I've built most of my houses that I've built to live in, my homes that I've built in, have been out of timber. So I really have a personal love for timber. The fact that we're involved in reclaimed timber has just been something that I've been with all my life, and that is, it's basically about living in a world without waste, where everything has a use. And we've ended up, myself and my partner, being involved in projects like the wood project, where other people saw it as waste, and we just saw it as an opportunity. And also discovering that, we helped other people discover that a second-hand piece of timber has sometimes more character than a new one. It's often a lot more stable as well, because it's gone through its long process of drying and curing and being in the world. And sometimes a weathered piece of wood can have volumes of character, volumes of stuff, and we don't even want to plane it, we don't want to change it, we just want to use it in some way, in part of whatever we're constructing or creating. So we're really fortunate to be in such a beautiful place, and also have the space. Timber, kind of bulky, it's heavy, and we've kind of spread out here. So we have people who come and shop with us here, and they walk through the different wood yards and enjoy the countryside, and also find that old piece of Oregon that they've been looking for years, or railway sleeper. We've got lovely old aged pine, huge lengths, 6 and 8 meter lengths of timber that we've recovered from the chicken houses, rainbow chicken houses. Beautiful, heavy and fully treated timber. Needs a bit of cleaning. Wasn't a chicken run, but after that the it's really beautiful. It's what you can do with an old piece of timber. All right. So basically, our showroom, which we've just been in, is essentially a retail outlet. We also supply people who want volumes of timber, and that would be in the form of a bundle of timber, 2 meters by 1 meter by 1 meter or whatever, which would be loaded onto the truck with a forklift. And yeah, our brand is HeartEco. Essentially, there's 2 elements there, and that is the heart, love, and eco. And using reclaimed timber is really important for our environment. Really supportive of saving our resources, our trees, etc., etc. And so a piece of timber often can be used not only twice, but more than 2 or 3 times. It can be used a multiple number of times. Dismantle, rebuild, dismantle, rebuild, and so on and so on. So timber really does last a long time, and we're lucky to be involved in this process. Yeah. The local community, and especially from their vantage point, but you can see it if you use your imagination, is a Zulu hamburger. And when I heard that story, I thought, oh, that's really interesting, because that fits perfectly into a world without waste. Because if that is a Zulu hamburger, there's definitely enough food to feed everybody in the community and a lot more as well. So that's our little picture of our vision here, that we have a Zulu hamburger and there's enough to feed the whole community. And that's just another story that fits so beautifully into the concept of a world without waste. One of the things that I'm good at, and that is that I see value where other people don't. I mean, this is really a sculpture now. And with a bit of cleaning up, a high pressure hose, built into a wall, that's amazing. Look at that. And it's all done for us. I mean, it's just nature. High pressure hose is fantastic. So anybody's got a high pressure hose at home, find an old piece of wood and you'll get the most amazing results. And if it ends up in a fire, that's good too, because it keeps people warm. So it's all good. It's all good. It's all good. Yeah.